Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Up Your Alley. It's a podcast with two best friends. That's me. My name is Taylor Edgar, and with me, as always, is my best friend, Jake Baggett. Say hi, Jake.
Hey, buddy.
It's a show where we recommend things to each other, and then we come back the next week to talk about them. This week, Jake has his recommendation for me, which was the most recent YouTube video as of recording right now. He puts out not too many.
Not too many. I mean, it looks like he just started.
From the YouTube channel Bobby Fingers, his most recent YouTube video, Jeff Bezos Rowing Boat.
Yeah.
Which is strangely enough very self-explanatory for what the video
is.
is.
What it is. He makes a rowing boat out of Jeff Bezos.
My recommendation for Jake, which was the 2019 documentary Punk the Capital, about the punk rock scene in the 70s and 80s in Washington, D.C. We'll get to that, and we'll see if the score changes. Right now, it's 55 points for me. Jake has 54 points. Anything can happen, though, and be sure to follow us on whatever platform you're listening to this on. If you can follow on Spotify, that's ideal. We're trying to get to 1,000 followers on Spotify.
Yeah.
Really appreciate numbers have been going up a little bit.
Hell yeah.
Really appreciate everyone that's done that. Jake, how have you been lately, buddy?
I've been all right, buddy. How have you been?
Got that computer built?
I got my computer built.
Yeah.
It all came in on Wednesday, and I started at 9, and I was done by 12:30.
Oh.
I built that damn computer.
It's taken longer than that for me to build like shelves from IKEA.
If you know what you're doing, it's just motherboard, CPU, DIMMs, hard drive.
Okay.
You can connect them through the M2, or you can connect them through SATA, but then you also have to have a power supply unit. And then you just put it all in a big tower, and you press start. And then you get yourself...
Jesus. There's an end.
And then you get yourself your ISO image that you put on the USB beforehand of Windows 10 or 11, your choice, so that it... And then you change from the BIOS. You have to go into the BIOS, and you have to change the boot order to the USB drive. And then you hit... go ahead and reboot, and then it'll pull the OS from the USB to put it onto your choice of hard drive. And then from there, it's off to the races to make sure you download all your drivers that you need. Because you're going to need drivers, because you're going to want speakers. You're going to want...
Oh, this is the worst.
You're going to want keyboards that light up and stuff.
It doesn't know keyboards?
Well, some keyboards have lights, and it's going to be like, I don't know what type of lights you want me to have. And you say download drivers. It's like, those are the types. Yes, sir. It didn't recognize my microphone until I said download drivers, and it said, oh, there's my microphone. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then you're off to the races. Get yourself antivirus, of course. You want to get that.
Using McAfee?
Oh, I tried Norton for literally about 2 hours, and I was like, this is gone. This is out of here. My computer came with a free trial of Norton. I was like, it would be worth a shot. And then
it wasn't.
Immediately, I was like, you're out of here.
Jesus. Yeah, with my computer, I opened the box.
Yeah.
And it was already charged.
That doesn't sound fun.
I turned it on.
That doesn't sound fun at all.
Shiny, and it came with stickers in the shapes of apples with a bite taken out of them.
I could probably open that up and point to you everything that's in there. I know what a BMC is.
I don't want you to open it up.
I know what fru data is.
I don't.
You know what I mean?
Is it important?
I mean, no, not really. It's
Okay.
kind of how the computer knows what things are inside of itself.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So it's like the check engine light, and it has that little thing where you can plug in and it tells you what's wrong with the car?
The fru is the thing that's letting the engine know that there's something wrong.
It's like, hey, your catalytic converter's
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be a fru.
Did you see our local police department put out a thing about protecting your car for...
I'm a Manassas boy now.
I know. For protecting your car from catalytic converter theft?
No, but I hear that that's going around.
Is it a thing?
Yes. My friend in Alexandria, she had hers...
Stolen?
Stolen, yes.
For the catalytic converter.
I don't know if it's the catalytic converter.
Are there catalyts that need to be converted on the black market?
It's something that's pretty interchangeable.
Yeah.
So that if you take it, you can sell it pretty quickly.
For what?
Money.
For another catalytic converter?
For money.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's not fun. Speaking of crimes for money, we got both just watched the trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6.
That is an excellent segue.
Right?
You did fantastic, sir.
I was going to show you a video of a house blowing up, but I'll show you that later.
Okay.
It's pretty cool, though.
That wasn't as good a segue.
My brother-in-law just said it to me, and I'm like, yeah, that's fun. But yeah, so Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yes, sir.
Initial reactions, a 90-second trailer. I have a theory, and I have nothing to prove this on, but my own skepticism of how things work. One, we're recording this on Monday night, December 4th. They had pushed out so many things that say 9 a.m. December 5th.
Yeah.
It's going to come out.
Uh-huh.
And it got leaked early. And it was one of those things. I think this happened with one of the either Infinity War or Endgame.
Yeah.
And I think it happened with Rise of Skywalker too, where the trailer got leaked and the studio just was like, all right, well, fuck it. We'll just release it on our own thing. Because I want to say the Rise of Skywalker trailer got leaked and it was like really low, like shitty quality.
Well, I mean, like it gets
like it had a watermark on it and everything like that. And then at that point, Disney was just like, we'll just release it on ours.
It takes the attention away from the person that uploaded it,
right?
You know, so it brings it right back to you.
Because that guy's getting clicks,
gets it out of the news cycle, so everybody's looking right back at Disney.
Exactly.
You know, so now Rockstar is the one that's controlling the narrative again. It's like, hey, look at this, look,
Yeah.
you know,
look at this game that you're going to
looks.
get sometime
Yeah.
in between
2025,
13 and 15 or 25 months from now.
I know.
You're going to get that game.
I know.
Yeah.
But
looks good.
there's only one thing.
What?
It had a Tom Petty song.
It did. It had Love is a Long Road, which is a B-side from the 1989 album Full Moon Fever.
That's so cool.
It's a great pick.
That's a great song.
I said, well, it's good because it fits whoever picked that song out, first of all, as a Tom Petty fan and as a Grand Theft Auto fan and as a Florida man.
Yes,
it hit all the right notes because
I immediatally thought of you when I was watching this trailer.
right.
So I was like, "Is that?" And then it was.
Hits in, and it's got the synth to it, it's off of Full Moon Fever, which is Tom Petty's first solo album, and that has the synth. I'm 98% sure that's Ben Montench playing that because he plays pretty much all of Tom Petty's keyboards back then.
Yeah,
and it has a nice 80s feel, but it's Tom Petty, and if you know Tom Petty, he's the pride of Florida.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, he's from Gainesville,
Florida, man.
So
they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I'm just
and they
saying,
chose a very cool song.
They picked, and it's an 80s song that fits because Vice City, the original game set here, was set in the 80s.
Yep.
So it's a modern game set in Florida, but they still tied it back into the 80s by having a Tom Petty song.
So it was just
chef's kiss.
So them doing that makes me go like, okay, they're really paying attention. Keep the driving fun.
Yes.
That's they can make the shooting more fun.
Probably.
That would be nice.
Let's hope so.
It was so fun in Max Payne 3. Why don't they just do that again?
Haven't played Max Payne 3.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got 2 to work through.
Nah, I don't.
And yeah, you do.
Funny story, I don't.
But just keep the driving really fun.
Yeah.
And then I'm definitely going to be
100%.
putting
There's a
plenty of
little
hours
clip
into
of a
that game.
dude pulling an alligator out of a pool.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's really pulling in like social media and stuff like that. And you see like little clicks.
They're
There's
doing Florida man stuff.
Right. There's
Yeah.
and they show the clips that all kind of look like social media. There's a little bit where it's like the mud people and it's like a bunch of rednecks mudding out in the swamps.
Yeah.
And there's like,
Is mudding going to be
I hope so.
I'll
tell you what,
game?
If there's a noodling mini game where you're like you're doing one of your side missions and you're just feeling around with the joystick until you feel the vibration of a catfish biting on to your hand and then you pull it out, worth the price of admission for that. That should be a VR game. There should be VR noodling.
So where you completely negate the point of VR, which is like you're seeing stuff.
You're just looking at the riverbank and you just stick your hand in and you move your hand around.
One of the hints is just close your eyes.
It just the VR, while you're looking through the VR, it has cigarette smoke coming up, like you have one hanging in your mouth. Oh God, that'd be a great game. We should design games. So Rockstar, if you hadn't already done it, put noodling as a mini game.
Noodling would be funny.
If you have like the golf and the tennis to like show Beverly Hills and LA lifestyle and Grand Theft Auto 5, you got to put in noodling.
They got a lot to expand upon.
Yes.
That I hope to see.
Yeah.
But
doesn't look like there's any returning characters.
Honestly, if they keep with what they did with 5 for the main story game.
What they did with 5
make it fun.
10 years ago, by the way.
I'll be happy.
Because
that was a fun-ass game.
We've had a whole Star Wars trilogy since the last Grand Theft Auto came out.
And we didn't have a period piece Grand Theft Auto, which is I love Vice City. I love San Andreas.
But they did also announce the remaster of Grand Theft Auto 4 is coming out next year, which, sure.
Really?
Yeah. 2024. Yeah.
Wow.
It popped up on Twitter because I'm not calling it X. It popped up there. It said Grand Theft Auto 4 Remaster 2024.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm going to remaster that game, but
shit,
can't support RDR2 online because Rockstar Games hate me.
Why?
I don't know. They did nothing with RDR2 online. It was like the biggest wasted potential ever.
I thought I get Reddit updates all the time of people playing.
Right, but it didn't get the massive support and push and like new content. GTA new content every month and yada yada yada. But I see. It's whatever. So yeah, that's going to be fun.
I'm in.
Yeah.
There's a lot that I want. Just let me role play as the character. That's what I want.
I definitely.
So not a lot.
I will say this: just judging by the first thing, it does seem like there's the two main characters.
Yeah, you're probably going to switch between the two of them.
Right.
And this trailer is just highlighting the woman that you can play.
Right, and I'm very happy that it seems like. Granted, we've seen 90 seconds of a game that people are going to put hundreds of hours into, so obviously you can't show much. But the focus initially, at least on the single-player campaign, I'm like, good, because I was afraid the lesson they learned from Grand Theft Auto 5 is let's just throw together. And I mean, they still might do that. Apparently, the new Modern Warfare campaign is shit because they know they're making their money from multiplayer. So
to me, it was always really bad, but that's just me. Some people really loved it, but I was like, I'm not spending a whole game just to play that.
But I'm just saying, if they do it well, I mean, I was stoked. I got jazzed, especially the Tom Petty.
With Tom Petty, that's what got me jazzed. I was like, they're really paying attention to what they wanted to create.
Whoever picked that song for the trailer, like that's just fucking
the director or whoever.
I think it was the download for one of the DLCs for Grand Theft Auto 4. I think it was probably Ballad of Gay Tony, where they play the song "Flashing Lights," the Kanye song. The flashing lights, and it was just spot on for that trailer. Fit the vibe of everything.
No one man should have all those flashing lights. That song,
sure, nailed it.
I did.
I
love them.
I know we can't really afford the sampling of playing that clip of Kanye West that you just played, so it sounded spot on.
Thank you. I listened to him.
It's gonna be a copyright strike. Speaking of copyrights, did you watch that copyright video we texted about?
Yes, of course.
4-hour documentary. Fantastic.
I love H-Bomber Guy. I watch his stuff.
Yeah,
all the time.
Shout out to him. Like, because I didn't think I would watch.
Let's give him the up your alley bump.
Yeah, that's what he needs.
If you guys got 4 hours to spend on plagiarism for YouTube, please watch it.
So the two side recs from both of Jake and I that we've been talking about. We'll get into the next one afterwards. But there's this guy, H-Bomber Guy.
Yeah.
And he does long-form YouTube video essays, which we're both huge fans of, that art form. And he's really tearing into a couple creators specifically for just wanton plagiarism.
Yes.
On a level where I was shocked. And he does a great job. H-Bomber Guy, he is very passionate about what he does. He's very heavily involved because one of the major focal points on this is a creator that specializes in LGBTQ video essays, basically how that community relates to media and vice versa. And that guy plagiarized so much shit.
Yeah. From lesser-known queer community
creators and just breakdowns and heavily researched. And God damn it, I love good research.
Yeah,
when you come
too.
When like the kids say, when you come with receipts.
Yeah,
like fucking this guy came with the receipts.
If I was going to watch if I was going to suggest an H-Bomber Guy video, I would say watch his Roblox one because that one's just super duper fun.
Yeah, that
one is a rabbit hole.
This one popped up in my For You feed. And I was like, I've never heard of this guy before, and I don't really care to watch a 4-hour documentary. And then another person that I've talked about on the show quite a bit, Nando from Nando V Movies, who does like a lot of fan casting, and just put out this great video that was his pitch for a Young Avengers movie. He has this whole series where he like says like, oh, like it's the premise is he's talking to Kevin Feige, and this video got leaked on the internet somehow, so it's really funny. But he said he's halfway through this, and it's a great watch. And I was like, all right, well, if this guy recommends it, then I'm going to do it.
All right. And he's right.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's really well studied.
Yes. And if you have some time to... like,
and funny. He's a funny guy.
He's very entertaining. And it's kind of sad what he goes down, but he breaks down like a lot of these YouTube creators and how it just is a mindless content mill. To just get clicks.
You just want to put out the videos so fast that you'll steal from lesser known creators to just keep up with it.
Oh.
And it's kind of gruesome.
I'm glad you're enjoying things pointing out how terrible people are in documentary form, because I have a recommendation for you this week. That was a test in the waters because I had 2 recommendations for you.
My favorite H-Bomber Guy joke is he put up his top 10 video games list, and he says, that's right, Dark Souls 2 is on there twice. Fuck you. We are not friends.
I like it. And the other thing we went and both saw independently this weekend is we saw Godzilla Minus One.
Yes, we did.
I went and saw it yesterday with my brother. And then immediately getting out of it, I texted Jake. I'm like, you have to go see it. And
Yeah.
you said, I saw it yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it Friday.
Yes.
And it was incredible.
So Godzilla Minus One is it in canon with any other Godzilla movies, or is it
No,
just
looks like it's just new Godzilla.
So it has nothing to do with the Godzilla or the Monarch Legacy of Monsters series or the newer Godzilla movies.
No, it's just because this takes place in
Japanese.
1940.
Right.
4 is when it starts.
Yeah, well, or 45 because it's the last days of World War II.
Yes.
So it's 45. Monarch Legacy of Monsters, that's a really good show. Like, I've been enjoying that. They're 4 episodes in.
Yeah.
Wyatt Russell and Kurt Russell play the same character, but in...
Godzilla and Godzuki.
No.
You remember Godzuki? Yeah, right?
Why wasn't that the pitch? No, it wasn't Godzilla and Godzuki. Wyatt Russell plays the character in the 1950s, and then Kurt Russell plays him in the modern day.
Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's father
But it's
son
good?
thing. It's great, but
Cool.
so Godzilla Minus One. If that was a recommendation to me, that would have been a hearty 3.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed the movie a lot. So it's set in 1945. It says the last days of World War II. A pilot lands on an island. He's got a bomb strapped to the bottom of his plane, and you get the whole movie's subtitled as well, which I thought would turn me off a little bit because you know I hate subtitles, but this was that it was shot
straight up Tohei movie.
So there are some subtitled movies that I feel are made knowing that they're going to get an international release.
Yeah, this was definitely
Right.
one of those.
When you're seeing like a French art film that's just translated into English with subtitles and it's very wordy and stuff like that, you don't really get to appreciate what's going on the screen because it's just reading the whole
Some
time.
of the stuff gets lost in translation because you want something that feels punchy.
Yes.
Like the dialogue, but they could fit the semantics and stuff are so different from languages that you just can't capture it that well.
Right. So the main character, the pilot, he lands on the island. Turns out you learn he was a kamikaze pilot, and he fakes that his plane had issues, and he had to make an emergency landing because he was supposed to crash his plane and kill himself.
Yeah.
And one of the mechanics there lets him know, it's like, hey, your plane's fine, but like I get kind of where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Then over the night, Godzilla attacks. And it is full-on 1960s looking Godzilla. Like, he's got thick legs, and he's just kind of lumbering around.
Got that great big bulbous belly of his.
He does.
He looks fantastic.
It looks like a guy in a suit. I don't know if it was a guy in the suit, and I didn't want to do the research.
No, I didn't. I don't know.
I think it was just animated well enough to look like it was a guy in a suit.
It was a Godzilla that I love.
And he has a face like a dog.
Yes.
Like he's got a big dumb golden retriever face, or like a big Labrador.
Like a dog snout. His snout looks very dog-like.
So when you're staring at him, he just kind of is bobbing his head around like the man in the suit used to. So then it cuts from that. He survives. He goes back to Tokyo. Tokyo's been firebombed. And this is when I got really involved in the movie more than I thought I would. So Tokyo's been firebombed. He comes back, and everyone knows that he was supposed to kill himself. He didn't. He let people die, essentially.
Yeah.
There's
they
some
blame
people
him,
that are saying,
calling
like,
him a coward.
right, you're a
saying
coward.
that if you did your job, this wouldn't have happened in Tokyo.
My children are all dead, that sort of thing, because of cowards like you. And so he's feeling so bad. He runs into this girl. She's holding a baby. He finds out that the baby
She's running from the law.
Right. He finds out that baby's not even hers.
Yeah.
She found the baby. The baby's parents were dying, so they formed this weird found family in post-war Tokyo.
Very Jeremiah Johnson style.
Yes, and it's just, at that point, there's probably 20 minutes, and I'm just like, I'm really involved in this. Yeah. Like, it's just this heart-wrenching thing where it's like people overcoming obstacles.
Yep.
And like in the worst of situations, finding the best of humanity, and then you're like, "Oh shit, Godzilla's in this too!" And then Godzilla comes.
It's the good stuff.
It was so great.
Have you seen Shin Godzilla?
No.
You're gonna love it.
I bet I will.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a movie where there's people. Godzilla attacks, and then it just cuts to a conference room full of people that are like, "Okay, how do we stop Godzilla?" And it's just a bunch of ideas shooting back and forth.
Yeah, and they have that at the end of this too.
So good. That's the stuff that I love.
Yes.
Don't reveal too much. I'm
not
to watch.
I'm not going to reveal too much. I'm going to say, definitely go watch Godzilla Minus One. It's not a plot. It's not a spoiler, But I will say this: Godzilla's the only monster in it.
Yeah.
And it's not one of those things that I think they kind of started this in the later Japanese movies. They really leaned into it in that shitty one in the 90s. And there's a new trailer out for Godzilla X Kong.
Yeah.
Which doesn't look great.
I'm not a huge fan.
Godzilla's
as
like
well
running and stuff. And
I like kaiju battles, but
yeah.
I think they're losing how fun it is.
When it's too much kaiju on kaiju, you lose the sense of scale.
Yeah.
Like,
I can agree.
You really need to shoot it from
brings
ground
in
level.
with -1 does really well.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. But I will say this. Godzilla is the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, he's trying to protect his babies.
Godzilla
or
isn't
he's
the bad guy. Godzilla is a representation of
America.
Nature.
He's a representation of America.
What are you talking about,
He's
America?
a nuclear-powered force that decimates Japan.
No!
It's a criticism of the American empire.
I love it.
Yes, that's what Godzilla was. He's America.
Was not.
He's America. He's the worst. Not that we are the worst. I take that back. But
we are kind of bad.
It's just like they don't try to humanize him or anything like that, which lends itself, because when you humanize the monster, I care less about the humans. Like the Godzilla King of Monsters, the second one that came out of this new bunch.
The one that we saw in theaters.
Yeah, and it's just like you don't care so much about the humans anymore because it's like all this bullshit family stuff. But I spent 20 minutes with this found
were
family.
there to just tell us what the monsters were feeling.
Right. It's like, oh, Godzilla's angry. It's
Look.
like, thanks, man.
He's jealous of Mothra.
But
She's got new shoes.
with this, it's the human drama was so great, and like the main character goes out on like a mine recovery boat, and he's got this weird little
What a
pirate
job,
crew
huh?
with him.
What a job. That is just the boys, you and the boys going out shooting mines.
Looked fun. I'm not gonna lie.
I would love that job.
And the other thing
You
that
get to shoot stuff and save people.
I will say this: I don't think I had ever heard the Godzilla theme song in theaters.
Yeah.
And so there's a scene
Without-
when Godzilla comes up on land, and if I asked you like to name the most iconic movie theme songs, and I'm a huge John Williams fan, so I go there first. But even like some of the newer stuff, even the stuff like some of Ludwig Göransson's doing with like Oppenheimer and everything like that, there's great people. But I wouldn't go back to Godzilla. When it hits and you're on stage, and we were seeing it in like the big theater, and it just pans, and it has that sort of iconic shot of you just see a building, and then Godzilla just walks by the building, and you start with like the foot low, and then it's the wide shot where how he's towering over the buildings. It's like bam, 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 bam. You're just like, fuck Godzilla. I love it. Yeah, I was so surprised by how much I liked this movie.
Everything was great. I only teared up like 3 times.
Yeah, see, you told me that, and that's not surprising for me.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of beautiful emotions that are going around.
There's one word that got me in this movie.
Godzilla.
No. Yes, it was when they said Godzilla. And I was like, oh, that's who that is.
What's the word?
The little girl just goes, Daddy. And you're just like, no! Or whatever Japanese for daddy is. But it just got me. Yeah, it was great.
Adosa.
It was fun. I think it's
Adosa.
Like all the monster effects, they weren't great, but it was
great.
It was good.
He looked amazing. I loved him.
I think it looked great. I think it was stylistic choices. I think they weren't trying to be like, oh, we're going to make this super realistic. We're like, no, we're going to make a Godzilla movie.
No, I'm going to make it fun.
Yes.
We're going to make it look incredible to see something so decimating happen and actually go, good heavens. That's insane.
Yes. Like, this was a great Godzilla.
It brings you right back to being like, because you'll watch like, I don't know, Fast and the Furious, you'll see
Vin Diesel
a wrecking
pull
ball
a car with
just destroy other cars, and you're like, and then you'll just watch this, and you'll see him like hit a train, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, there is one point where when the dog thing really dawned on me, there's one point where Godzilla has a train in his mouth, and he's just kind of like looking around. And it's just like a dog with a shoe. Like, I don't think I'm supposed to have this.
This
like,
stuff is good.
This isn't food.
So I was very happy. That will be a movie I will own.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely a get as soon as it comes out.
Absolutely.
It would be a fun one.
I'm happy you went and saw it, man. That's great.
I saw it on recommendation from my aunt.
Yeah?
Which I, was kind of surprised by, but she was dead set, and it was my aunt's dad, my grandfather, that got me into watching Godzilla movies.
Right.
So I'm like, if she thinks it's great, she went and saw it twice this weekend.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
She's got good taste.
She does. She's got good taste. She's a little crazy, but she's got good taste, and I love her. So, yeah, Godzilla Minus One, hearty threes from both of us. Tom Petty's
Dark
album,
Straight.
Full Moon Fever from 1989, also gets a good
Big three on that one.
I mean,
Good buddy.
For a debut solo album. And that's hard to beat.
That's so cool that we got to talk about Tom Petty
Paul
because of
McCartney's
Grand
first-
Theft Auto.
Yes.
Isn't that so cool?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Because people are going to be like, are you playing Grand Theft Auto? I was like, I'm listening to this radio station.
It's all Tom Petty all the time.
I can't wait to do this.
Yeah. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in the world and is going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible, and that's important because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially if you're limited to the options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with your therapist, and there's a link in our description. It's betterhelp.com/Allie. That's betterhelp.com/Allie. Clicking that link helps you support this channel and also get you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist to see if it helps you. And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, if you don't fit in with your first therapist, and that's common, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without the stress of insurance or who's in your network or anything like that. I'm a big proponent of therapy, and anybody that knows me can attest to the difference that it's made in my life the past couple years, and I recommend this program to anybody. So if you're struggling, please consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Allie. That's betterhelp.com/Allie for 10% off your first month. And we want to thank BetterHelp for supporting our podcast. All right, so let's get into what we're going to be talking about this week.
Yeah, buddy.
What do you want to talk about first?
Well, don't you want to take a little break?
Oh, no. I figured a better way to do that.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're
So
moving on
normally, a little peek behind the curtain. Normally, I would press pause before the ad that you have just heard. I'm talking to the listener now.
Yeah, of
the
course.
ad you just heard, I'll put a pause because it was easier for me to edit that. But then I realized that I was doing things a long way that was stupid. So I'm doing it a better way now. So you heard that ad, and I realized it when I forgot to push pause last week. And then
Yeah.
you and I talked for a little bit in between,
Oh,
and that made me
wow.
laugh. But it didn't really fit the context of what we were talking about because it was completely unrelated.
Oh.
So like there was like a minute of just B-side of you and I just shooting the shit. And I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty easy for me to edit back in. I don't need to be doing this.
Oh, okay, cool.
Well, it's just I upload one file now instead of 3. So, yeah.
That sounds perfect.
Oh yeah. I've been getting into better computer stuff.
Not
Check
yet,
out the
man.
new TikTok we just put up. And it's on Instagram Reels and everything else like that.
Heck
It's
yeah.
fun. So yeah, forget the behind the scenes stuff. Let's talk about the main show.
Yes.
First, let's talk about my recommendation for Jake. Speaking of
do it.
music that we all love.
Yes, sir.
This was the 2019 documentary Punk the Capitol, Building a Sound Movement. I found this on Kello, like I said, which is a subscription service that you can get to from Amazon. It's available to rent for like I think $2.99 on Amazon, YouTube, and Apple TV. So it's pretty affordable if someone wants to go see it. It's directed by Paul Bischow and James June Schneider, and it's a documentary about the Washington D.C. punk rock and hardcore scene from 1976 until they go until about 1982.
Yeah.
which was in the
1984.
84, yeah. So it was in kind of the first wave of definitely the first wave
Yeah,
of
the
Washington
first-
D.C. punk.
Yes.
Which,
Punk's growing around the country.
Yes.
And it's the flavor of punk that came out of DC.
a very specific kind of punk rock came out of D.C.
Yes.
So if people don't know, punk rock is just awesome.
Yeah.
It really was in a sweet spot for me.
We got it in the punk revival.
We
That's
did.
what
yeah.
That's what they called it when we were growing up. I remember because I was like, "It's not a revival. It started with me."
Yes.
And then they're like these old bands like Minor Threat, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this is something.
Yeah.
This isn't new."
Yeah. Well, and there was another great documentary called a band called Death. Did you ever hear about that?
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, that was a great punk documentary
Death
too.
is Detroit.
Yeah, one of the
Yes.
first big punk bands, and probably biggest one out of Detroit. But they were in the 70s as well.
Yeah.
So the main punk scenes, like the main scenes of most things in this country, were New York and Los Angeles. And they were pretty different, those two scenes as well. And Washington, D.C. kind of just got its own thing going through small local shows that were done in kind of makeshift places.
Yeah.
But
you'd play at a bar, and then the bar would say, never again.
Right.
And then you'd be like, well, how do we do this?
So it kind of starts with bands. It starts with
the Slickies.
The Slicky Boys.
Yeah, Slicky Boys.
So
never heard of them.
No, did you go back and listen to them at all?
No.
Okay. Well,
I wasn't really vibing with them when I was listening to them.
Really?
And that's when I was thinking, you got me to watch a documentary about a band that I don't know and I don't feel anything for.
Well, I mean, I could have done that, but I'm not going to do that.
But it was, I was thinking, like, this is a thing to sell Slicky Boys.
You're right.
And, no.
Well, the framing of the documentary is they kind of set it up, some of the older people that were in bands going on back then. They said there was an article in the magazine where they're showing the breakdown of Washington, D.C. punk, and it was written by a magazine in New York. And it had it all started with Bad Brains.
Yeah.
And they were just like, oh, that's not the real story.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like goes back, because the fascinating thing about this documentary, I think, besides all the great interviews, great behind the scenes stuff, is the amount, and they focus on this in the documentary too, the amount of documentation that was done in Washington.
That made me feel very punk rock, the amount of archival that I like to do.
So,
and they're just being like, this is something that DC punk does.
There were
I was like, I am DC punk.
That's
right.
Yeah, there were people that were just literally the librarians of this. They had all the posters, all the early recordings, so many photographs, so many old
amazing to
radio
see the
interviews that someone had recorded off the live radio with bands like the Teen Idols. And they put together this documentary, which is a great encapsulation of this scene. And granted, this scene was over by the time you and I were born.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I kind of go back to. Be like, this is kind of fun, the way it started, the way you would watch like old movies or something like that.
Right.
Because I will say this, like the bands that feature prominently, Bad Brains, the Teen Idols, and the Teen Idols were Ian MacKaye and Jeff Nelson, who later went on to do Minor Threat.
Yes.
And that was, by the way, Teen Idols, IDLES.
Yeah.
Which
makes you feel good.
Chef's kiss. Like, come on. A pun in a punk band name is top notch. You and I were in a band once called Rectum.
Yeah, that's true.
WRECKED
right.
apostrophe EM. I was in a band in high school. We were called the Missing Links, but it was LYNX. Like there was a cat that was missing.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah. I love
you love band pun names.
I love a good pun in a band name. It's just so beautiful. So when I saw a kid in the documentary with Teen Idols, like that classic thing where it's a denim vest with like a black piece
patches,
of
baby.
big black piece of fabric with Teen Idols paper safety pinned onto it. I'm just like, that's fucking punk rock right there, and I love it. So they have interviews with all these guys. And my favorite part of the documentary, and I think one of the persons that's an elder statesman of this genre, is they're showing like early Teen Idols things, and they have a wide shot of the crowd, and they just zoom in, and it's just fucking young Henry Rollins, just moshing in the pit, and
he sticks out like a sore thumb because you
does.
Know what Henry Rollins looks like. He's a very specific type of look.
And Rollins,
and he looks the same 16 years old.
He's just bigger.
Yeah.
He's just bigger now.
Yeah. When you look at him, when he's playing with SOA and he's 18 years old playing with a bunch of 14-year-olds, this is when I was kicking off. And I was like, this is so good because even Henry Rollins is like, yeah, so I'm going to be singing with you guys, right? And they're just like nervously be like, oh, yeah, that's right. He's like, you guys talk? They're like, oh, yeah, we talk. He's like, all right, how the hell am I going to do this?
So it does play into the thing of the punk kids are, they're not all punchy in the face, everything like that.
Yes.
They're just...
It was a big loving community type thing, but it was a lot of energy that they got out.
I think it was Nelson from the Teen Idols in this. He was talking that they had recorded, I think it was Discord Records started to put some of these bands out, and that's where a lot of the library activity was going on. Like they were saving everything, all the posters, all that good stuff. And they were getting a royalty check And you guys like, I'm in 11th grade.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know what you want me to do here.
Yeah,
and it's fun seeing all these guys that were punk as shit in the 70s and 80s. And when they show the bands, there's always this thing where it's like half the band looks like just normal people. They look like everyone's dad.
Yeah.
And then there's one guy who's still like got the long ponytail, still wearing the vest and everything. There's just one of them, one person in every group that never fucking grows out of it.
Yeah, that keeps it going.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's fantastic.
They look great.
And then Rollins, of course, when he left SOA, he moved out to the West Coast and started with Black Flag and everything like that. And then they get into
and interviewing Henry Rollins is such a treat. I love Henry Rollins.
God damn it, I would
just
love
to
to
listen
have
to
him.
him talk is so much fun. I used to listen to his talks when he had those. He had one on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
He had a tour, and he loves music, and just to hear him gush about the DC scene was awesome.
If there's a Mount Rushmore of people I would love to get on this podcast and have them recommend something to us,
Yeah.
Henry Rollins would be up there and be like, here's an album you've never heard of because there's only 2 copies in existence and I will give you each one. And then have him sit down and I could listen to him talk about music all day because he's just about it. Like, I love it.
That's a guy who's emphatically crazy about music.
And the DC scene in particular, I think, is great because it was. They allude to this in the film as well. It was kind of seen as like the smart scene. Like these kids, I think the guys from the Teen Idols were talking. It's like, oh, my dad works for Department of Defense. My dad works for the IRS. Like their dads are kind of nerds. It wasn't like they were just like punk kick around orphan kids.
Yeah,
they come from good families in the suburbs, and they would come into DC and play this headbanging music. And I love Madam's Organ because the place is called Adams Morgan, and they call it Madam's Organ, which is just, again, wordplay in punk rock is one of my favorite aspects of the genre. Just beautiful wordplay.
all right.
And the guys from Minor Threat, they started the straight edge thing. They had a song, Straight Edge.
Yeah.
And that kind of took on its own little life in DC as well.
I'm happy they touched on that.
Yeah.
Straight Edge, and then it kind of got out of Ian's hands after a while.
Yeah, and then Straight Edge goes Straight Edge, and then your vegan punks and all those guys that have faux leather Doc Martens, and it's like, all right, man, you're taking it a little far there, but God love you if that's what you're about.
They go through it the same way that I felt like I went through it when I was growing up, which is you're in it, and it was a scene that you enjoyed just because it was your friends, it was people that you care about, and you were doing stuff that was fun and awesome, and then it becomes kind of big around you, and it kind of loses the focus of what you enjoyed about it, and you kind of just walk away after a while. And I was like,
but you can still get right back into it. Like
I mean, every moment is still so precious to me, and I'm so thankful for my punk rock moments. I got a in home ec because the teacher in middle school let me sew the patches on my jacket for a grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What patches you working with?
My biggest one was a U.S. Agents one.
U.S. Agents.
Yeah, right?
Local band reference.
I got it free from the U.S. Agents. Shout out, Brendan. What up, dog?
So, yeah, I remember the local days were great. I went and saw a local band Friday night. They were just playing at a bar, and I went and saw the boys play. And they started playing a Rancid song. That's West Coast, but like I was like bobbing my head along to Rancid. I'm like, yeah, this music still speaks to you. And they get done playing Rancid and start playing an Operation Ivy song. And I'm like, this is fucking great. Like it's
punk rock, man.
And it's also good.
It feels good
when like a punk song like will come on. Well, not so much radio, but if it's like in a show or in a movie or something like that, and especially when a band at a bar is playing a cover live. Like if they start playing an Operation Ivy song, you could just whip your head around the bar, and you could spot a dude that's just like, fucking A.
Yeah.
I know this, and then you're just like, that guy I like.
That's something that you can point out. Yeah, exactly.
Punks are the nicest people.
I was in a car one time and waiting at a red light, and I could hear somebody listening to the Weaker Thans next to me, and I was singing along to it, and the guy sees me singing, and he turns it up as loud as he can. And I just look over and I'm like, yeah, dude, cool.
Good fucking dude.
I know, just good people.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. That's what it brought back to me
Yes.
I haven't thought about this stuff in a long time.
What I liked is it was something that I hadn't thought about,
Yeah.
but it's also like the early day stuff. Because I'll admit, I didn't really listen to the teen idols before this, but
Yeah.
I put them on Spotify and I was like, this is fucking great.
This stuff's great.
Yeah.
I love Minor Threat. I love Faith.
Minor
I love
Threat's
Bad
great.
Brains.
I love Bad Brains was good because Bad Brains was a little more ska on the ska side of punk.
Bad Brains is a lot of fun.
Yes.
And they're just, a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And that's the shit that I care about. There's a really good thing that the guy says when they talk about how Minor Threat played at the Washington Coliseum.
Right. The first place the Beatles played in the U.S.
Exactly. And he said it took them an hour. It took the Beatles an hour to get through 13 songs. And he was like, Minor Threat got through 12 songs in about 13 minutes.
Right.
He's like, so we really cut down the time to get this thing down.
It's the quick and fast punk songs.
And
I
it
love
made me think about it is like they put just as much energy of a 3-minute or 4-minute song into a 45-second song.
Right.
Because they just burst into sweat.
Yeah.
And just breathing heavy.
I forget who said it in the documentary, but he said it's a sprint.
Yes.
Like they're running wind sprints when they're playing punk songs. It's just a minute and 15 seconds of
just-
as fast as you can play, and then everyone takes a breath. And they're like, all right, let's do it again.
Yeah.
It's just,
And it's all this, and it's just that scene is all about you do it for yourself, you do it for your friends.
Uh-huh.
You don't do it because you're trying to make money or you're trying to make a scene. You want to have fun and you want to be yourself. And this is just a way for these creative people to do it. And it just brought me right back to feeling that way again.
Yeah.
Just being so incredibly in love with the passion of creation that
Yes.
people have. And just to see it manifest in front of you at a show is so much fun.
oh, it's the best.
When it's energy like that, it's hard to not get wrapped up in that energy. So yeah, this documentary gets a 3. It
Hell
brings
yeah.
you right back to
Got
believing
a
in
3
this
with a
stuff.
documentary.
Yeah, man,
I like it.
Absolutely loved it. I thought it was going to be a Slicky Boys sell, and
No.
then the Slicky Boys. They even show at the end comparing like Minor Threat to the Slicky Boys, and when they play it side by side, that's when you're like, that is insane how different that they sound now, and it's just wowee. And just the curve into DC hardcore like it is.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense why I'm like, I don't like some hardcore, but there's some DC hardcore that I'm like, hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
So, damn, just good times
Good.
all around.
And I don't think you have to be a punk rock fan to like this documentary. If you're just a fan of good documentaries,
Yes,
this'll-
it was a well-made documentary, and you're just going to really like the people that made them. The people in the bands are really good people.
Yes.
They're all very sweet.
I don't think I've ever met a punk that was a shithead.
It's exactly what it's all about.
You know,
I
who's a
remember
shithead? Fucking posers.
I would go into a show and I'd get overwhelmed. I'd have to sit down, and some stranger would come over to me and just be like, "Hey, man, are you okay?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." He's like, "I can get you a water or anything. It's just, are you feeling like sunstroked or something?" I was like, "No, I'm fine. I just need to sit down." He's like, "All right, man, cool. Just checking." And he'd just go back to doing his stuff. And I'm like, "That dude is super kind."
I remember I must have been college, but in a pit at the 930 Club. And like, it's just such a self-policing environment. Like punk shows, it's chaotic, but you never feel unsafe.
Yeah.
If you're at a good show, like some shows, you're like, oh shit. And then when shitty bands get involved, you get like Woodstock 99, where it's like, I don't think the people that were there to see Limp Bizkit know punk rock protocol of how to like be
Take care of each other.
Yeah.
Somebody that's fallen in the pit, you pick them back up.
And I think that's I don't think that's just specifically for punk, but I
Yeah.
think it is universal for good punk shows and bands that have stood the test of time. Like if you meet someone that's diehard punk and has been since the 70s, probably a great dude.
Yeah.
Like I don't think any of them are really shitheads.
That's what I'm saying. The Slicky Boys, they all seem really nice.
Unless they're Nazi punks, which we all know Nazi punks can fuck off.
Yes.
That's widely known. But yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad we got to watch that.
Yeah, I'm happy. It took like 10, 15 minutes for it to start to click that this thing is actually going into something that is very good.
Yeah.
Like I'd never heard about Madam's Organ before.
It's funny.
And to learn more and more about this place, it's just, time feels cyclical now.
Yeah.
Because it felt like the 70s and 80s is something that we went through in the 90s and early aughts.
Yes.
You know.
And I definitely, we had that, not so much the instinctly local scene, because there were, record stores that we could go to. And by that time, labels like Hellcat Records and Epitaph and Fat Wreck Chords, they were putting out
Yeah.
punk compilation things. Like I had all the
Yes.
Punkaramas, Fat Music by Fat People, Give 'Em the Boot, and you get an album like Punkarama, and that's where I hear bands like Propagandy, Melancholy, and then I think one of the early Fat Music for Fat People had Blink-182 on it before they even had Dude Ranch come out. And just the sampler packs were such a great way to get, like, I first heard the Dropkick Murphys on a Punkarama. I think it was Punkarama 5.
Ian McCain talks about that with Discord Records, where he's like, I just make a compilation. I pressed 4,000 of them. We sold them out within a week.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's kind of like the best way to ingest punk music is to listen to like 20 different bands, one right after another.
Yeah.
And
some of them
the compilations would be the ones that you should listen to.
And listening to all the compilations, there were some bands that I would focus on.
Exactly.
And be like, I'll go
albums.
buy. Yeah, perfect example. It's like,
Yeah.
Hey, who's Guttermouth? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to go buy their record because Guttermouth is awesome.
Yeah, Guttermouth is awesome.
Yeah. All right. So,
3.
Punk the Capital, building a sound movement. It's available a bunch of places. You can rent it. Highly recommend it. Great documentary.
Yeah.
Speaking of aggressively creative people, let's get into Jake's recommendation for me.
Yes, sir.
Which was a 30-some-odd minute YouTube video.
About half hour.
By Bobby Fingers.
Mm-hmm. Bobby Fingers is a man.
Jake, you want to intro this?
So I got in my recommendations a Bobby Fingers video about making the diorama of Steven Seagal. And
getting choked out and pooping his pants.
And I watched it, and I was like, this is great. He's creative and funny and engaging. And so I just watched all his stuff until Jeff Bezos Rowing Boat came out. And then I was like, oh, he's creating art. This is one of the most creative things I have ever seen. And I've been on a real art kick lately.
I've been on a boat kick.
I was like, I'm going to send this Taylor's way. Because I'm pretty sure that I'm just going to pretend like that didn't happen.
Yeah, so I'm trying to pull up his YouTube page, and it just popped up whatever the hell the first short that was in my feed started playing. Looked like it was a possum.
But I loved it. I think his latest one, the Jeff Bezos one, is my favorite one. And I needed somebody to watch it so that we could talk about it.
So he only has 4
or 5?
4.
Okay.
So he's got 104,000 subscribers. So in YouTube sense, I'll say we're getting in kind of on the ground floor with this guy.
Maybe.
He's from Ireland. So
it's hard to say because there's really not much out there about him.
Well, he doesn't have a single video over. His highest one was his first one that came out a year ago. So he has 2 that were a year ago, 1 that was 8 months ago, and then 1 2 weeks ago. So, and you could see the work that he puts in his video. I would say he's just a performance artist.
Yeah.
Kind of, because he's making physical art.
Talk about what the actual video is.
Right. So he's making physical art, and that's the whole point of his video. Or it's the jumping off point for his videos. I went into this. You had mentioned something about him a couple months ago, and said you need to watch this.
Yes.
But it wasn't a real recommendation, so I kind of just write off everything else you say, unless I have to do it.
Right back to you.
Yeah. Dick. And he makes very good dioramas for the first 3 videos. So I'll just read off the names of his first 3 videos. Drunk Mel Gibson Arrest Diorama, Steven Seagal Chokehold Diorama, Michael Jackson On Fire Diorama.
Yeah.
And then his newest one, Jeff Bezos Rowing Boat.
Yes, sir.
So in the first 3 videos, because I watched them fucking all.
Hell yeah.
And I would say more so than the Jeff Bezos Rowing Boat documentary. I'll say this. I've seen them all start at the beginning. Like, yes. I think Bobby Fingers, I'll say right now, Bobby Fingers is a 3. Mm-hmm. Bobby Fingers is worth a follow, much like we are on Spotify and YouTube. I don't know why. All right. This is really hard for me.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So it's just that he's really good at what he does. And it's something that I've said on this show 100 times. If you're really good at something and you're really into something, I'll watch. Like, I think it's great. I think passion is one of the most addictive things that you could do anything. So his first video, the Mel Gibson drunk driving diorama, he shows you how he does it. Yeah. And he's an incredible artist. So he's making a clay
A 1-to-1 scale clay bust of Mel Gibson.
Of Mel Gibson's face, drunk. And then he scans that, and then he 3D prints the scan, does the body, shows you how he makes he finds like pictures of Malibu where he got arrested, replicates the cliff wall, builds the cop car out of foam, sculpts that, sculpts the cop, like does all this beautiful diorama work, and it's just such painstaking detail. He shows you how he makes the lights of the cop car out of a UV curing resin that's transparent so it looks like a light. And he's got he does the inside of the car even though you're not going to see it. All this work, and not just work on his account, work on the viewer's account, because you're sitting there watching someone painstakingly do something, makes you invested in what they're doing. In the Jeffrey Bezos one, he's making a gigantic Jeff Bezos head, and he's doing pores on his skin individually with a little scalpel tool.
He does the hairs individually.
Yeah, threads the hairs into his eyebrows. Not much hair for Jeff Bezos, thank God, but the eyebrows and the eyelashes individually.
Yeah.
And you're watching it, and it's mesmerizing to watch this guy work because he's so incredibly talented. That is juxtaposed to the guy's narration.
Yes.
Where he's just a crazy Irishman talking about things, and he goes off on random tangents and starts telling you stories about how he had sex with his friend's sister in one of the things. That was in the Michael Jackson on Fire. And the whole other point is he's making a diorama about Mel Gibson's drunk driving arrest. So he's like putting so much work into something that someone's like, why would you do that?
And he caps it off with a song.
Yes, he sings it.
He sings a song while he buries the diorama for somebody to find.
All of his work, he buries it underground and leaves GPS coordinates in the video. And all of the dioramas have been found.
Yes.
Like they all had little follow-up things.
Mm-hmm. I think I know where the latest one is, too.
He's a madman.
He's creative. And the last one that he made really spoke to me.
So the Jeff Bezos Rowing Boat, which is...
Which he says
what it is.
He begins by saying that he wanted to make a rowing boat out of somebody bald because he won't have to worry about the hair so much. And he chose Jeff Bezos. And he was like, and I'll think of a reason later why, some type of creative reason why I did that.
Irish accent's good too, Jake.
I know. I'm so good at these ones. And he just goes through this, and I don't want to reveal too much about the video because I think there's great twists in it that I want people to enjoy.
There's great twists, but I'll say this. You spend 25 minutes watching a man sculpt Jeff Bezos' face gigantically.
Yes.
The size of a small canoe.
Yes.
And then he shows you how he can make a Jeff Bezos face hyper-realistic, seaworthy, and then he takes it out onto the ocean. If you're wondering how it works, the outside hull of the boat is hyper-realistic, and the rowboat paddles, the oars, go through the ears so he can row like that.
I would say the moment that this thing became true, captivating art to me was his trip to Turkey.
Yes.
When he went to Turkey, that's when I was like, everything that he has done and said is now up to question, and everything is beautiful that he does.
Also, he might just be
insanely wonderful.
An insane person.
So what I think is going on in a meta context that he's doing is there's a story going on during his song, right? He sings a pirate's
sea shanty while he's paddling Jeff Bezos' face.
And he goes and he's on the ship called Amazon where other shipmates are cannibalizing humans, and he grabs the chest while nobody's looking and runs away, gets on the Bezos boat, and buries the treasure.
Yes.
He's saying to me that he had a job at Amazon that got him enough money that he can go and do what he is passionate about, which is this stuff.
That'd be fun.
I think this is exactly what's going on.
And at one point he goes on stage with a band called the King Kong Club.
Yes.
Which I've never heard of before, but they seem like an Irish version of Tism, and I'm a big fan of Tism.
The line that he says over and over again is, "I will take care of your kids."
Yeah.
And that's
it's very
such
strange.
a funny thing to say over and over again.
Yeah.
But he's so funny. He's like, I've never done face textures before this big, only normal.
Yes. It's
what are you talking about? But he would say the craziest things, and then some of the crazy things that he says is true, and that's crazy.
So his tagline on his YouTube page, I think, sums it up well. Is he just says, I make beautiful things, then I see them buried, a bit like God.
Wow.
Which is that kind of humor is what he brings to all of it.
Yes.
I would say everyone should watch all of these. My favorite one out of all of them is the Michael Jackson on Fire diorama.
Yeah.
Where he sculpts Michael Jackson when his hair caught on fire filming a Pepsi commercial.
So he makes a brass
Oil,
torch.
yeah, a bronze
oil lamp.
Yeah.
Bronze oil lamp. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yes, after he makes the full diorama, and he ends that by singing a Michael Jackson song about how he doesn't want his friend to have sex with his sister because he had sex with his friend's sister, and he's always lived in fear of his friend retaliating. And he ends that one with something just like, oh, and that's what the day that I fell in love with Michael Jackson. And then he had sex with all those kids. Allegedly. But it's just great humor.
It's great. And it's so meticulous. Again, the meticulous nature of every aspect of what he's made. Not just a diorama, but the video itself. It's insane.
I've spent
the amount of thought.
Yeah.
That is truly a creative person right there.
Oh, 100%.
Talented beyond means.
Yes.
So I am absolutely locked in. Whatever he's going to do next, I'm in for it.
I'm on board with Bobby Fingers.
Yes.
Like, we're subscribed to him from the Up Your Alley page. Like, I want him to know that we've talked about him. And like I was just shocked. I spent the past weekend, I'll talk to you about this off the pod, but getting deep down into a rabbit hole of some content that just was baffling to me in just every way, shape, and form.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced that somewhere on YouTube, there's someone that's been posting stuff, and in 10 years, 15 years, whenever it is, much like Vincent van Gogh was not appreciated while he's alive, there's some genius content somewhere on the internet that's got like a switch to upload once this person dies or like a certain amount of time afterwards, that there's going to be digital creators like that are just...
I would say that there's hundreds of thousands of creative people that are going under the radar.
Well, no. I'm not saying just going under the radar. I'm saying that we'll come out and be like, this is genre defining what this person was doing, just toiling in obscurity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying the exact same thing, brother.
Well, I'm not saying that are just under the radar. I'm saying like just like the next like Beethoven or something like that is already producing stuff on YouTube and has like 20 followers.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. We're saying the same thing.
Are we?
Yes.
I was thinking I was giving more credit to people.
I'm giving them credit.
Yes.
I'm saying that they're creating stuff that people can't see right now, either because it's not being sold properly, or people just don't understand it,
or just doesn't pick up
for what it is
in the algorithm,
and then it's going to get understood, caught by somebody that has some type of influence, and shown everywhere and brought out to the masses.
Yeah,
hopefully within their lifetime. But that's one amazing aspect of online community is it's so easy to upload stuff.
Yes, and
it's interesting to see what everybody has, but we're just fed the same exact thing.
And I will say, I think watching that H-Bomber guy documentary as well.
Yeah, kind of lets you know that there's people that are on the top that are taken from
there are people
from the bottom.
That have millions and millions of followers, subscribers, and to some extent millions and millions of dollars that are literally just stealing from other people.
Yeah.
And producing content with it. And then there's this one fucking Irish dude who's like, I'm going to make Jeff Bezos' face a boat. And he's not doing an ad for like Tank Warfare or Raid Shadow Legends or something like that.
This dude is doing what
I want to do. Not that there's anything wrong with any of those companies if they want to advertise on our podcast.
I saw me and him when he was like, he left Amazon so that he could pursue his passions now.
Boat making?
I was like, doing all this wild shit all the time.
It's fun.
And just like any direction he wants to go to, he does it now. And that's what I picked up from it. And that's what I want.
It's so weird how our choices kind of fit together sometimes. I swear to God we don't plan these things, but Jake does like a highly creative thing about people doing their own weird stuff, and I picked old punk rock music, which is like when creativity built a sense of community together.
Yeah.
It's weird that we pick shit like that.
I don't know, we're the same person.
I'm really worried to see what you pick this week. Our choices line up
again. You're going to love it. It's fantastic.
You're going to hate mine.
Probably. Yeah. You're trying to make me mad again.
So yeah, Bobby Fingers, it's a 3. from both of us. Check out Bobby Fingers at Bobby Fingers on YouTube. He's only got 104,000 subscribers. He deserves a lot more.
He's going to blow up. He's going to be huge.
Yeah, so you heard about Bobby Fingers here first.
I love him.
And
I look forward to more of him.
Yes, he's an incredible guy. So, thank you everybody for listening. If you want to get involved with the show, you can email us at upyouralleypod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at upyouralleypod, TikTok, the same thing, Threads, and the YouTube channel. Subscribe to that when you go and subscribe to Bobby Fingers. Jake, what do you got to get into next week?
You got yourself a television show coming your way, buddy.
What? TV?
You got yourself a cartoon coming your way, bud.
Oh, boy.
I sat down to watch one episode of it to see if I would like it. Ended up watching the whole thing in one sitting. It is on Max. It is called Scavenger's Reign.
On Max?
Yeah.
Is it new?
Yeah.
Super new. Never heard of this.
It's beautiful. It's made by Titmouse, the Adult Swim company, animation company.
Yeah.
That made like Venture Bros and stuff. And,
is it a comedy?
No. It's horrifically beautiful.
Oh.
It's very scary.
So that's Scavenger's Reign, REIGN.
Yes.
Okay. TV miniseries.
Yes, sir.
Huh.
And it was something that drew me in by the second episode. I finished it.
How many episodes is it?
It was 9
Okay.
or I believe. No, 12. I believe it's 12.
All right. Well, I'll get into it.
And
so that's, weirdly enough, I have a series for you on Max.
Oh.
It's so fucking weird how we do this sometimes.
Is it Scavenger's Reign?
I think, but I will say I think this is like the third or fourth double Max episode that we've had.
I wonder, as you said, it was a documentary.
It is.
I'm wondering if it's a documentary I already saw that I wanted to give you.
Is it a new one?
Yeah.
Is it Love Has Won?
No.
Okay.
What is that?
Love Has Won is...
Oh, no, it's already going to break my heart because I already know what it is.
So Love Has Won is a documentary that came out. Just 3 episodes. It just ended up a couple weeks ago. It is about the cult Love Has Won, created by Amy Carlson, who was known as... Oh, it's a cult thing.
I love cults.
It's a lady cult thing. Started by Amy Carlson, who designed herself as Mother God.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know this one, I don't think.
It's a good cult one.
Okay.
And I'll say this.
Am captivated by
yes,
cults.
Well, you're hit or miss on cults. Sometimes cults make you a little sad.
Yeah.
But it's got a good bit of cult. It's got a good bit of crazy hippie, which I also enjoy.
Crazy hippie cults are the best.
Got some just flagrant con men, which I love a flagrant con man. So, So I'm going to watch Scavenger's Reign on Max. And Love Has Won. It's 3 episodes. They're all like 45 minutes long.
Perfect.
So, and then Jake's going to watch Love Has Won, The Cult of Mother God.
Cool.
Also streaming on Max. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Be sure to tell your friends about the show. Jake, thanks for coming over. Love you, bud.
Love you, buddy.
All right, bye.
Bye.